Welcome, everybody, to the Joe Lee podcast. We are at the AFC and NFC Championship Edition. And remember, this is the only podcast where to be a 49ers fan, you need some form of health insurance. My name is Joseph Yanez, and as always, I am joined by my co-host.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Lee on the live. So, Joseph was right. You know what? There's a huge price to be paid as a Niners fan. Like, I don't know. I don't know how I was able to watch any other games this season. Every time I was like, I'm gonna die. Like, they just like fumble or they kind of like sack another team and then recover the ball. It was just really nervous wracking. Almost every single game I couldn't just call it. I just feel very pessimistic. I don't know. I don't feel optimistic at all. But do you know that you can actually win a game without a touchdown? Also, do you know that if you actually get 9 sacks, you can still win the game? Also, apparently 13 seconds, you can still tie a game. And this wasn't happening last week. And I was just like, I can't believe it. Are we watching hockey or something? I don't think this is like, because it's like a high speed. And also apparently 42 seconds was like a lot. And this was not done by Tom Brady, but somebody else.
Yeah, it's honestly been probably the craziest divisional round that I have ever watched. I can't remember watching every divisional game and thinking, wow, that was a good game. But it seemed like I went back to back because I watched all 4 games, or I watched the majority of all the games. And Bengals Titans, just the way it ended was like, wow, I didn't see that coming. 49ers Packers was an interesting match to say the least, and it ended in another case of like, wow, I didn't think that's the way it would have ended or have gone like the whole way through. Rams, Buccaneers. Given the last couple weeks for the Rams, I kind of saw that happening. I just didn't think that they would, end the game like that as well. We'll talk about it a little bit more in depth. And then the last game, which was the Kansas City and the Bills game, you and I pretty much said, like, this is going to be like whoever has the ball the last is going to win the game. And, hey, it ended up being true.
I just wanted to say that the Bills and Chiefs was ridiculous. In a good way. Let's just say
it was. Live stream reactions are in the channel if you want to go watch those. Even if you want to watch, the last, 10 minutes of it. 10 minutes was probably the highlight of the stream. Anywho, we just want to say that there's stuff that we're going to discuss in this podcast that we predicted like at the beginning of the playoffs. Look forward to that. So now let's move on to the first game, which was the Bengals and the Titans. Going into this, the Titans had the number 1 seed. They were looking okay, because like the whole season we've been talking about how the AFC has been a toss-up. There's so many fantastic teams in the division. We have the Titans, we had the Bengals, we had the Chargers, we had the Niners, we had the Bills, we had the Chiefs, we had just so many teams that were really good that it was really hard to see who was gonna like win the AFC. Obviously, I had a bunch of biases for the Chargers, and they didn't even end up making it. Which was not a prediction that I had even at the beginning of the year. No one predicted that the Bills were going to make it, and not even anyone predicted that the Bills were going to make it to the divisional round. So it's like surprise after surprise after surprise, and it really showed that like there's a lot of really competitive teams in the AFC. Now everyone was saying, "Oh, the Titans, they're going to win." I mean, Ryan Tannehill was solid. Derrick Henry was coming back. And most people were banking on just Derrick Henry winning the game for them. The unfortunate situation is that when you're out 6 months with an injury, you tend to not come back the same on your first game. And this is just for everybody. Even though Derrick Henry is a supernatural freak, he's not going to come out here and perform at his peak while he just during a game where he's just back for the first time. And I feel like the Titans depended way too much on Derrick Henry to get him the win.
Yeah, there's a poor guy. I just feel like he wasn't able to do much. Like I heard like he has like a steel plate on his foot. And so I was like, what do you expect him to do? Like this guy just came back from injury. Like are you expecting him to run more than 100 yards? Come on.
I mean, he did good, but he got one touchdown, which is, fantastic.
It was amazing.
But how can you make your whole offense revolve on one player who just came back from IR? It just confused me and, really showed that the Titans weren't ready for this type of game. Now, again, if you don't watch football and you're coming back and you're thinking, why are you talking about the Titans in the divisional round? Well, it's because they had the bye. So they were sitting down on their couches doing nothing or practicing, and I don't know. I guess they didn't watch because it seems like they weren't ready for the Bengals, like at all. They just let they just let Joe Burrow go out there and sling the ball.
Yeah, they literally had because this is what amazed me, because they literally had like a 14 days off, almost at least about, if not 14, then like 13 days off before this this match. So I thought they would be more ready for this game, but it didn't look like that at all.
The bye did not look good for any team this year, but yeah, really just surprised that the game turned out with the Bengals winning. I love Joe Burrow. He's doing fantastic. The only problem I see with the Bengals right now is that they have no O-line. Like, dude got sacked 9 times. That is record breaking. The most sacks in a postseason game before was 8. Like, how do you get sacked 9 times and still win the game? How does that happen, Lee?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe we'll need to thank to this man named Ryan Tannehill. We'll just thank him for that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This goes back to what you say. I think the Titans weren't quite ready yet, or not quite ready yet. They already happened, but he do interceptions, and I don't remember if any of the interceptions actually get converted to any field goal or a touchdown. But it was really frustrating for the Titans, and then for a while it was a close game. Like at the beginning, I think the first quarter was painfully slow because we were chatting
it was not
about it.
There was not much going on there. It was the second half that really ramped things up.
Yeah,
but not to dwell too much on this game because we have 4 more games to talk about, and I'm sure we're going to take the longest with the 49ers. Joe Burrow pretty much takes it with only a couple minutes left, and they drain the clock, and they set up a field goal, and they kick it through the uprights and win. That's how the match ended, and it'll pretty much set up the example for the rest of the games going on for the week. But yeah, it was definitely crazy. I'm not gonna dog too much on Tannehill. I've been thinking about it all week. 3 interceptions by Ryan Tannehill, that's pretty bad. But just imagine if they didn't have those 3 interceptions, they would have actually been really good. They would have definitely won that game. So you can't be turning it over to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has proven that he is like godlike on the field and during championship moments. I don't know if this is like setting up Joe Burrow to maybe win the Super Bowl, because like we've been saying, like Joe Burrow has championship experience, and it seems like he is ready to lead any team into a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Like college experience might not translate into professional experience. We'll see. We'll
But
see.
we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the next game. And yeah, oddly enough, we got all the number one seeds playing on Saturday. Which I guess if you're the number one seed, it doesn't guarantee you're playing on Sunday. That's the only thing I took out from that.
Yeah, maybe we need to check on that for next season to see if that's the case. Maybe they will switch that. They will have like number one seed play on Sunday or something.
Yeah, well, we would have missed out on the best game on Sunday night if that was the case.
Yeah, that's true. Like according to the scores that we're seeing over the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the 49ers and the Packers because, oh my goodness, this game was incredibly slow. If you are a defense head, this was the game for you.
This might be the best game for people who like to watch a defense game. Like exactly what you're looking for. Okay, so I would mention one thing. If you look at the Packers score, you would be wondering like what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. Like, wasn't that Aaron Rodgers team? They were supposed to score like 25 points, 30 points, or 44 points or something like that. But for the most part of that game, he only targeted 2 players. That's it. Okay. And now, so a lot of people pointed it out, dude, you got a lot of guys open. Now why didn't you pass the ball? Like if you had passed the ball to other players, you guys might have scored more points. So maybe that could be one of the reasons besides Niners defense that kind of like prevent the Packers from scoring more. So that was one other reason that people probably didn't really look at it besides saying, oh yeah, I guess the Niners defense was really good that night.
Yeah. So the game started out pretty strong. I was watching with the family, and they were already automatically worried when the Packers on the first drive go and score 7 points.
I know it was like first 2 minutes or so. I was like, okay, that's not good.
That's
like
not
the
good.
defense couldn't hold them down.
Yeah. Either that or they're just feeling them out, which is another thing that I was thinking is like, oh, are they just trying to see what they got? But that doesn't make any sense either because you don't want your opponent to score at all.
Yeah, plus you're against Aaron Rodgers, right? Like this guy's so unpredictable.
But after that was kind of the only thing that happened in the first quarter. Like,
yeah, exactly. Because if I remember correctly, the Niners defense were able to hold them to no score into the fourth quarter.
I think
the third or the fourth quarter, right?
Let me double check on this. Let's see. Packers, 49ers.
Yeah, so Packers didn't score. So they scored 7 points in the first quarter. They didn't score till the fourth quarter with a field goal.
Yes, the only score that happened was the Packers score at the during the first half. Other than that, nothing happened. It was a punt fest the entire time.
But this was impressive though, because if you look at like watching a football game, like how do you stop a team from scoring after first quarter? They didn't even score at all in the second and the third quarter. Fourth quarter, only a field goal. Nothing else.
No.
That was insane, in my opinion.
Yeah. It definitely was insane. So basically what happened was second half, 49ers come back. They managed to score a field goal in one of their drives. Then the following quarter, they score a touchdown. Then Packers score another field goal. And then, Jimmy G is tasked to run the 2-minute drill, basically. While he has scored no point. I guess he only scored 1 touchdown during the entire, run of the game. And then he puts it when they get to the field goal line, they put it through the uprights, and that's pretty much how the game went. Like there was Nothing much else going on here. Just defense being incredibly stellar.
You know what? I need to mention something real quickly because actually Niners didn't score a touchdown at all here. Like it was not like a drive into a touchdown. It was just basically on the I think the special
You're
thing actually came
right.
out because the Packers they were punting and the special team blocked it, and then it was snowing at the second half. So the ball got blocked and everyone was looking for the ball, right? And it dropped to the ground and the Niners saw it and they just grab it and just run to the end zone for a touchdown.
You're right.
The whole time the Packers, like they were looking for where's the ball? Where's the ball? And then by the time they saw, hey, Niners had it, they were trying to like chasing them down. By then it was too late. That's when the game tied at 10-10. So that was not the only like a pump block. There was another one field goal that was blocked as well by the Niners team. So it was amazing because this is the first time I'm watching a football game where you actually could win a game without a touchdown. That was wild. Okay.
Yeah. Also, I believe Gold had missed a field goal attempt before. I think it was a 50 or 51 yarder that he did not make. But to be fair, during the second half of this game, it did start snowing. So the conditions were not great for these two teams to play. I don't know, how it is in Lambeau Field if it snows a lot, but I believe the Packers had no excuse here. They should be used to playing in this environment.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like it impacts the Niners more than Packers players because
Yeah, there was a
first half I
rumor.
really wanted.
There was a rumor before the game that Jimmy G was gonna wear a wetsuit, like under his uniform. I was like
How?
baffled.
Why? Like a wetsuit, like how bad the weather is gonna be. But you know that the first half, I think it really impacted the Niners players more because you could see like it feels like that first half, the only person who was out there to play was Jimmy. Like
Yes.
his receivers were dropping the ball left and right. And it was really frustrating because people keep like talking about like, oh yeah, of course Jimmy. It's not Jimmy's fault here. Like, oh, he can't throw the ball. That's why that he can catch. They can catch it. They just drop it. And they were like, even the good plays where he, due to George Kittle at the end zone, got intercepted. Honestly, you and I, we agreed that that was a good read by the defense player, right?
Yes,
because like
you got to go back and watch that play because I don't want to hear any slander on Jimmy G. Basically, George Kittle is running a post run into the end zone. So he makes it all the way to the corner of the end zone. The safety from all the way to the left side of the field sees him running this post route, and he sees Jimmy G getting ready to throw it at him, and he runs from the other side of the field to pick it. There is no way that Jimmy G would have seen that. Like, the ball was 20, 30 yards away from George Kittle. It was already in the air when the safety was reading that play. I don't want to hear that was Jimmy G's fault, because it was not.
Yeah, and then the reason I say that is because like he do a lot of good passes where it was dropped. Like I was like, dude, how can you drop the ball? Like if they had not dropped the ball, they probably score more. But they dropped the ball, so that's what I was like. Maybe it's the weather. And then after that, I was just like, okay, interception. Okay, that's it. I need a break. Like, that was too much. Like,
well, to be fair, it probably was the weather, because it seemed like on the other side of the ball, like no one was completing passes either. It was drop pass after drop pass after drop pass. I don't know what a ball in freezing temperatures feels like, but I'm sure it's not pleasant.
It probably hurts, especially if you throw something that's kind of freezing. That's like a rock or something. I don't know. But it was definitely wild. But something worth mentioning is that leading up to that game-winning field goal is the 3rd and 7 on Green Bay 38 yards, right? And so that at that time, there was a decision to be made between whether run or to pass. And Debo Samuel, he was actually managed, he was able to manage to get to, I believe, get them closer and closer to the field goal range, right? And let's see here. Yeah, he did. He did. So, and then follow up, then there were like a few more smaller plays. And that's what Robbie Gould was able to kick within like, I think it was like 40 something yards. Let me double check here. 45 yards. And 45 yards at Limbo Field at a cold day. That was pretty impressive. So Jimmy was able to do what he was supposed to do to advance the offense closer to get to the field goal range for Robbie Gould to kick a winning kick. So that was impressive because I was watching the final drive at the gym and then and saw that kick got in. I was like, okay, wow, that was good. We actually beat the Packers again. So like that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So that was really cool. The way that the 49ers were able to beat the Packers. And I kind of want to talk about a little bit about just the announcing during these games, because, and I'll make a transition into the next game with this, because it seems like for quarterbacks that have, either won a Super Bowl or have been in the league for a really long time, there is some preferential treatment on air. And, I understand that these players have, done great things, great accomplishments, won championships for their team. But that doesn't mean you need to slander the opposite team or not talk about like anyone else at all. I love Aaron Rodgers. I think he's a great quarterback. Lots of respect from me to him. But the announcers take their fandom and just put it like way overboard. It's the same thing with Tom Brady, which something that happened during this I don't want to say stream, during the broadcast. There you go. Mm-hmm. During the broadcast is that you were hearing, all this love for Tom Brady, but never did you hear any love for, the Buccaneers like team, like as a whole, or you never heard like praise about the Rams. And every time you would hear things about Matt Stafford, it would be about how his time with the Lions, he always choked in big situations, or how he may not be ready for big situations. And I'm thinking like, whoa, like relax, okay? We don't need to be stroking these guys live on national television, okay? Like,
yeah.
like, please talk about something else that is not Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. Talk about, what's going on the field currently. Talk about guys that maybe we don't know. Because who knows? Maybe they come and make some breakout plays. I mean, we're going to talk about Gabriel. I forget his last name, but he's a player in the Bills. He showed up and he had 4 touchdown passes, and I never even knew about this guy until this game.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I was like, who is this guy? This guy received like 4 touchdowns. Like
4 touchdowns. Never even heard of the dude.
Oh my goodness.
So please stop trying to push your own narrative on the broadcast and focus on the game as a whole, on the players as a whole, on the team sport. Because there's about 30 people out on there's 33 people who make up a team: the offense, the defense, and the special teams. So please focus on the game as a whole and not on just Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Well, maybe. Yeah. This is my suspicion here. I sometimes like broadcast, like depending on the network. If you're playing at home field, they probably tend to like focus more, like favor the home team. That's just my theory. Maybe that's what they're doing.
I mean,
yeah, like let's listen at the broadcast between the Rams and the Niners and see if they're gonna slander Jimmy G again. They're like, oh, Jimmy G suck and blah blah blah. They're probably like, well, we need to talk about how good Stafford is. He can do it very far. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it's wild. I think there's like bias. Uh, you know, they like to say good things about the home team at least. Um, but
True.
but I agree with you. Yeah, it'll be nice if they talk about other players on the team.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about I think I have the wrong game actually. Over here on screen. I'm trying to pull up. Okay, here we go. Okay, got it. I got the right one now. Okay. We're going to talk about the LA Rams versus the Tampa Bay
I was not going to
Buccaneers.
come on television.
Sorry, I got to mute that. I don't know why ESPN automatically starts videos. It's not something I want. But
That is
all right,
funny.
so this game was weird, man. I mean, it started out pretty one-sided, and then it became non-one-sided. It switched over pretty much to the other side very quickly. First quarter, the LA Rams come and score 10, and then the Buccaneers only managed to score 3 points during the first quarter. Second quarter, Rams score 10 again, and the Buccaneers score no points. Third quarter, Buccaneers score 10 points, but LA's able to match it up with 7 more points. And in the fourth quarter, we were in panic mode because Buccaneers scored 14 points back to back. And, luckily, Matt Stafford was clutch despite every analyst in the NFL media saying, no, Matt Stafford isn't clutch. He can't pull off the big win. And pretty much he did this here.
I think what happened is, yeah.
Go ahead.
I think he had to watch the Cowboys game. He must have watched
Oh,
the
no,
game.
definitely. You definitely saw what was going on there.
The whole clock management thing where you get your alignment, get your teammate to line up and ready to go because you didn't have a lot of time left. Like if you're gonna win the game, you need to make sure that your teammates are serious or on top of it. So like once they, he was able to pass. He do 2 passes to I think to Cooper Cup, right? And then he was able to advance the ball to a point where they could kick a field goal. He was just like, "Hey, come on, guys, come on."
Oh, and somebody in the Bucs defense isn't coming back because they left
I saw that
Cooper
too.
Cup open twice, and I'm like, how? You know that this is the best Rams receiver that the franchise has ever had. They touted that on TV like 3 times in a row.
Yeah, he has won like Triple Crown or something like that. This guy is like it's high rank, like he's like an all-star player or something. Like,
and you leave him
you just
open
leave him
on
open.
a post route and on a straight route. I'm like, how? Anywho, I'm very glad that the Rams won because you know I am an avid Tom Brady hater, like pretty much 75% of the country is. But
Man, I don't know about 75. That might be a little bit exaggerated, maybe. But I kind of look at the play-by-play. I was like, look, was there a chance for Bucks to eat up more clock? And turns out that the reason there was none because they were 4th and 1 with 46 seconds left at the end zone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 4th and 1. So there's no way for you to get another first down unless the Rams committed a penalty. So I was like, yeah, if they had get another first down, they might be able to go into overtime, but didn't look like it was possible at all. And apparently 46 seconds was enough for the Rams to score a field goal and win the game.
Yeah. To be fair, that's the best I've ever seen Matt Stafford play. With 42 seconds left on the clock. I'd never seen him doing something like that. I guess it just shows that he is actually capable of doing that type of thing.
No, he has that sense of urgency. I think he really wants to beat the odds because people kind of like didn't really say any good things about him. I don't know why it is. Like Rams are favored for a lot of games, but for some reason people just don't like to talk good things about Stafford. I don't know why.
I want to talk about some stats, which they don't concern me, but like they're really weird. So Matt Stafford had 366 yards during this game. Cool. He had two passing touchdowns, and he was 28 completions of 38 attempts, which is not too great. But that's kind of been the MO of Matt Stafford. He's able to get it done, but he's not like wildly consistent. Now I want to talk about Cam Akers because he had 24 carries but only had 48 yards. And this is kind of it's showing what happened during this game because Cam Akers actually fumbled the ball 3 times, which is not good during playoff mode. And I'm just incredibly surprised that after a second fumble, they would allow him to go back out there.
Yeah.
And here's the next one. Cooper Kupp had 9 receptions for 183 yards and 1 touchdown. This man literally carried this game. Usually, your best receiver has 120 yard. That's usually the range. 183 yards is amazing.
No, that just shows that the Bucs, their defense couldn't stop Cooper Kupp. Like nobody could really defend him. Could defend him. Yeah.
Yeah. Just really quickly, you guys can't see the graph, but the win probability, and usually this is used just for like betting and stuff like that. The Rams were never really portrayed to lose the game until they tied, and then it went down, and then went up, and then it went straight down to the 50 range, and then it went back to up to 100 after they scored the field goal. But
yeah, those type of graphics kind of bizarre because I showed you one before. It's like how rapidly the probability changes.
Yeah,
to just like, okay, this thing is gonna win. Sometimes it's just on the same line. You could tell like there should be a little bit distance between the line. Like it's a curve, right? Basically, it's not line, but it's a curve. But you couldn't tell. There's a small gap, but you almost thought there was a straight line. You'd be like, wait, 2 colors? Like how?
Yeah. Well, some of these games move like super quick, and we're going to talk about the next game in a bit. Actually, that's a perfect transition into the Bills and the Chiefs. Wow, what is there to say that has not been said about this game already? It was probably the greatest game this season.
Listen, I was on the competition committee.
There was no game that was better than this game.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, honestly, I feel really bad for Josh Allen that that Bills actually had to play the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But one thing I have to mention it because I don't want people to mistaken my statement here. They played fantastic. They were actually leading. They were supposed to win with 13 seconds left in the fourth quarter. They were supposed to win. And then you see down the sidelines, the Bills players were hugging each other. They were celebrating and everything like that. But I'm just thinking hold on. Who are you playing against? You're playing against the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes.
You and I were sitting on stream watching this game. And
it was wait,
with 13 seconds, I told you, why are they celebrating? Why are they celebrating? You shouldn't be celebrating. There's 13 seconds left on the clock. We learned the entire season that there is not enough time on the clock unless it's 0 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah.
Don't celebrate because it ain't over.
Yeah.
So before we get to the end part, which is the most exciting part, and I'm sure everyone wants to talk about that, let's talk about, this game, because on the surface it seems like this game was purely offense the entire time, and I'm here to tell you that was not the case. Yes, it was very offensive centric. There were offensive plays and good ones at that, but the defense for both teams showed up for this game. First quarter, 7 points scored by Buffalo, and that's the only points that they allowed. They had at least 3 or 4 drives that were stopped by the Kansas City defense. Vice versa, Kansas City managed to score once, and for the entire quarter, they were stopped by the Buffalo defense. Second quarter, pretty much the same story. 7-7, no points allowed besides that. Third quarter, Buffalo's defense cracks a little bit and allows 7 points, but steady. Kansas City defense allowed 7 points, and then on the other side, Kansas City offense scores 9 points, and the Buffalo defense starting to get tired, but exact same with KC, because in the fourth quarter we see Buffalo score 15 points, and then we see KC score 13 points, and like Lee was saying at the end, this was back and forth. The final, I would say, 4 drives were just Kansas City and the Bills offense going back to back with each other. And so like we were saying, like this is going to be a tale of who gets the ball last. And Kansas City managed to get the ball with 13 seconds left. The offense marches down to field goal range with 2 plays. 2 plays. Like, how is that possible? Then with a was it a 50 or a 51 yarder? It was in the 50 range.
Let's see here.
Let me see. They have a play-by-play button over here. Let's see. 44 yards. I'm sorry. With 44 yards, the Kansas City Chiefs scored to tie the game up 36-36. And in overtime, the Kansas City Chiefs win the coin flip, and the offense gets to go out there, and they score, and they win. And that was that. So it was definitely amazing. This game was pretty much everything you would ever wish for a game. You had offense, you have defense, and the game ended with a lot of offense, which I think for most NFL fans, that's what they enjoy watching the most, is 2 high-powered offenses going at each other. I know the purists are going to say like, oh, well, defense is the most integral part of the game. But this is what makes it exciting. No one's, majority of people are never going to say that the most exciting game that they ever watched was, purely defensive. Am I right? And so, I'm not a defense head. I prefer high-powered offense, but I don't mind defense. The game was highly entertaining throughout. Pretty much the whole thing was entertaining. But I just want to say that both these teams are pretty much on par with each other. Just the fact that Mahomes was able to march with 13 seconds left to tie it shows how both these teams are so good at what they do.
Yeah. I mean, with that 13 seconds, it was first down. And what's bugging me was that we were saying that maybe there was a little bit like maybe the defense of the Bills, they were fatigued. I think players were fatigued or something, or tired or something like that. Because they have, Travis Kelce was open, Tyreek Hill was open. So they were able to get the ball and march down. So for example, Travis Kelce was, he had like a 25-yard gain. And so I'm just looking at it. I was like, wait, with 13 seconds left, you seriously going to let this tight end just keep running? Just take them to the field goal range?
Yeah, what I'm surprised the most is that they didn't see this coming, because if you look at the 2 drives before that field goal, you'll see that Kansas City does 5 plays, 75-yard gain in 52 seconds. Then the Bills do 6 plays, 75 yards in 49 seconds, and they don't think that Kansas City can do 3 plays for 44 yards, 3 plays, 44 yards in 13 seconds. That to me is kind of naive.
Yeah.
At the end, I think the reason Buffalo lost was because they got it in their heads that they had won the game on their last touchdown.
Yeah, I feel the same way. That maybe that explains why they were celebrating on the sideline. But other people were saying that instead of punting the ball to the end zone for the Chiefs to return like that, maybe they could kick it to the ground and they just kind of use up the clock, and maybe maybe they will win the game because when you kick it to the ground, the clock will start running. By then, when the Chiefs had the time to react, maybe they will run out of time. But it's always easy for us to say, "Oh, what if? What if?" But the game was already over, right? So
Yeah. I don't. I honestly don't think it makes too much of a difference because if they kick a squib kick, it has to go past 10 yards. Otherwise, there's a 10-yard penalty, and it's already in that range. So
yeah,
you don't want to do
I think
that.
I think you require certain kind of skills. Like you need a really good like kicker to do that to make sure that it's on the ground.
And
I know that kickers are very good to kick up in the air, but I have not seen good kickers who could kick the ball far on the ground.
yeah, yeah, difficult situation, and I'm sure that the Bills thought that their defense was gonna do the job and stop them, which I guess if you look at the rest of the game, like in the fourth quarter, the defense allowed less points than their offense scored points. So maybe that was the idea. Kansas City only scored 13 in the fourth quarter, while the Bills scored 15 in the 4th quarter. So maybe that was the idea, is that the defense was going to be able to stop them, but that didn't turn out to be the case at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, incredible game. Probably going to go down as one of the greatest games of all time. And I'm excited to see these two battle it out for years to come. But yeah, I mean, like we were saying, holy cow, man. We got Josh Allen. We got Patrick Mahomes. We got Justin Herbert. We got Joe Burrow. I mean, the conference, the AFC conference is stacked with young players.
So my question is that, do you think that, like, would it be possible for an average quarterback to survive in AFC?
No.
It's very difficult.
You got to be excellent now.
Yeah, I feel like they, ever since Mahomes and the other quarterbacks at Burrow, I feel like they raised the bar. Like you have to kind of like be better than average. Like if you want to be the pocket quarterback, then you better have a good O line. But if you don't have a good O line, then you have to be above average, basically.
You gotta learn how to scramble out of the pocket, because that's what that's what Burrow's doing, scrambling out of the pocket. That's what Mahomes doing, scrambles out of the pocket. Allen just runs plays.
I just feel like he's a running back.
He has a running back. Yeah, he's pretty much a running back and a quarterback at the same time.
Yeah, and it was just a run, take the ball and just run. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Again, amazing game of the year probably, and we said that about a lot of games this year. We said it about the Chargers and the Raiders, and I think this game topped it, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there was a little bit of controversy towards the end for the Raiders and Chargers game, but
yeah,
about like whether they want to tie. Yeah, but I'm just like whatever. But you might be right. Maybe the one that we live stream was better.
Yeah. Speaking of controversy, I want to talk about the end of this game just a little more. I know we've already talked about it in detail, but it's more about like the thought process of the average NFL fan, which sometimes surprises me. Sometimes it doesn't. But there's a lot of people on Twitter, and I know you're not supposed to take Twitter too seriously. But it seems like this was a very hot topic, even for people who are, I guess, in the podcast sphere or like really big NFL fans, is do you change the rules for overtime? Because it seems like the coin, quote unquote, has too much power over the decisions of a game. And as a Chargers fan, I would know, because we lost to Kansas City and we never even got a chance to go on the field. And this is what happened here. Kansas City marches down in overtime for 6 points, and that is the end of the game. Josh Allen didn't even step on the field during overtime. Gave him no chance. And, I'm going to give you my opinion, and I hope you give me your honest opinion back. This is not like you and I, going at each other, whose opinion is right. This is just more of like sharing time, and, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I think overtime is fine. The coin is the perfect decider of who gets to go first, because it's a 50-50 chance. It's literally perfectly even. There's no other way to decide a game that's not 50-50. You could roll a dice, I guess, and odds and evens. But I mean, I took that stats class, and they were saying there's no other way of deciding more how to decide something more at random, more fair than a coin toss. And so, Kansas City going on offense, scoring, and the game ending is fair in my eyes because, like I was saying, I'm not a defense head by any means. Like, I don't like seeing just defense, but you gotta play defense. And if you can't stop the Kansas City offense, I mean, we're talking about the offense being out there and the defense being out there, because otherwise we're just sending offenses out there to play and score, which is something
Yeah.
I also don't want. So in my opinion, the defense has to play as key of a role as the offense. And if the Bills can't stop the offense from scoring 6 points, then Kansas City deserved to win.
Oh, yeah.
So what is your stance on the overtime rules right now?
I think it's perfectly fine. You got 60 minutes, right? You got 60 minutes to win the game, right? Like the game is 60 minutes. You got to go full out. We're talking about offense and defense making fewer mistakes. Josh Allen was doing really great. I think I remember there was they were in one drive, they were 4th and long. And then we were like, okay, so are they going to go for it or kick a field goal? Because we knew if they were to kick a field goal, they would not win the game. I think they called a timeout, and after timeout, he just do a touchdown, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, look, we need to understand that this is a 60 minutes game. You have to make sure you score as many points as possible and defend as well as you can to win the game. Because that in overtime, it's up to chance, right? It's fair. Everyone gets 60 minutes, both teams, right? So you got to make sure you take care of the ball, get the score you need to win the game. Otherwise, in overtime, it's just up to chance. But I really agree with you. Even in the overtime, if you're playing defense, you need to bring your A game to stop them. Otherwise, you're losing. You're going home. There's no second chance. So I don't have any issue with the overtime game rule. Look, 60 minutes, 2 teams. You got to do something about it, right?
Yeah. And I agree. If your defense is able to stop the team and, they score a field goal, then you have a chance to go out there and score. That's perfectly fair to me because the defense did something. They stopped them to a degree. So, like you were saying, you got to bring your A game on offense and on defense. And I hear counter arguments of people saying, well, why doesn't KC's defense have to prove anything? Because it's pretty much because the offense already did their part and scored. Like if Josh Allen had to go back out there, if it was Josh Allen in the same situation, yes, of course I'm going to still side with Josh Allen. Like, this is not me picking favorites. This is just me saying, the Bills the Kansas City defense also has to show up, and perform their A game. Otherwise we just have another quarter, and what happens then if both teams just score back and forth? We go into double overtime? No. I mean,
no, yeah, you can't do double overtime because I feel like if you go double overtime, you're gonna have a lot of players get injured. That's very scary. So no,
no, we already have way too much football to begin with. I mean, me and Lee had to watch all 4 games, and I understand the majority of people, they don't have to do that. People watch 1, maybe 2 games at most. Normal people, me and Lee have to watch 4 games. In the wild card round, we had to watch 6 games. Like, having double overtime is not something we want.
Yeah.
It's especially just watch the Rams and the Bucks. That game almost spilled over into this game, and you want
right. That's
more?
because they were tying, and they were tied at 27-27, and honestly, I was like, oh, we're gonna have an overtime game. My goodness.
Yeah, me and Lee were scrambling. We weren't sure what was going on, like whether or not we should live stream and skip that other game, or if we should. Anywho, we're getting a little sidetracked here, but the coin is fair. I don't care what anyone says. the rules are fine. Your defense has to show up regardless. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like if I have a team whose defense is not good, for example, then maybe you're gonna be like, okay, that's not really fair.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, then the team has to figure out ways to improve the defense. It's not like this is not about like fair or not fair. It's just some teams just have better defense than others. Some teams just have better offense than others. This is the NFL league. Like, what do we expect, right? So,
just remember that Niners and Rams game in overtime. San Francisco's defense showed up. They were able to stop them, and then the Niners scored, and that was it. That was the game.
Yeah, and what's funny about that one is that the Niners actually didn't score a touchdown in that game. They actually kicked a field goal, and so the Rams had a chance to actually win the game, right?
Yeah.
So if the Niners had to score a touchdown, it would get over. But the fact that Rams had a second chance, that almost tells me that, hey, look, I think the overtime rule is fair. I mean, like, if you kick a field goal, that doesn't mean you win the game. You got to score a touchdown, right? Mm-hmm. But if you don't, then the other team has a chance to come back, and I don't see anything wrong with it. Like, it's just, I don't like to overreact to overtime. I think it's what it is. Like, but if it's like a basketball where it could go like second overtime and third overtime, I think that would be like overkill. That would be too much.
Yeah, football is way too long as it is. All right, Let's transition into everyone's favorite part. NFL Championship Edition preview and predictions. And we only got 2 games this week. Actually, not even weekend. Dang. It's just Sunday. This Sunday we have 2 games left. It is the AFC Championship game and the NFC Championship game.
Let's go.
And
Yay.
I believe the first game is actually Kansas City versus the Bengals, which should be pretty good.
Oh my God. I think this one is going to be a really good game. And who do you favor in this game?
It's hard to say.
It's so hard.
Because we've seen I'm sorry. We've seen Joe Burrow's offensive line be absolute trash. As we saw last week with him getting sacked 9 times. And we've seen that the Kansas City defense is capable of making plays. And so I'm finding a hard spot because Kansas City almost has the same problem, except that they've kind of fixed it just a little bit. Like they put a huge Band-Aid over the O-line problem because Mahomes finds himself scrambling a lot as is.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like I mentioned during the Bills game, it's really going to be up to the defense and what defense is going to crack first. And we saw that last week that the defenses were evenly matched, but I don't know too much about either of these teams' defense to be able to say one's better than the other. As far as just like the small samples that I've had from the last 2 weeks, I would say that they're about even as well. No defense like from those 2 teams like stands out too much. They're really like offensively minded teams, and it's going to be hard. Kansas City scored 42 points in their last game, and the Bengals only managed to score 19. So it's going to be really difficult for me to like pinpoint which offense is technically better. But we've seen this matchup in week 7, I want to say 16 or 17, and the Bengals won. So again, rematches tend to be not very predictable because unless you know the teams by heart, even then, I mean, it's hard because I was thinking, just to give you an example, like the Chargers and the Raiders are divisional rivals. And I was thinking, well, the Chargers have won the last 3 out of the last 4 encounters. And I was thinking, okay, the Chargers got this. And no, we didn't win. We lost to them. So to me, it's difficult to say which team is going to win. Now, I'll tell you who I'll be rooting for. For me, I'll be rooting for this to be a good game, because that's really all I really want. I have no problem if Joe Burrow makes it to the Super Bowl, if the Bengals make it to the Super Bowl, and I have no problem if Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl. Both guys, super likable. Maybe not Mahomes' family, but I do like Mahomes. I mean, I have a Mahomes jersey that I got ready for the game. And yeah, again, I have no quarrels with any of these two teams making the Super Bowl. I like both teams. I don't mind to see either of these teams go. So maybe, I mean, if you pointed a gun and asked me to root for a team, I'm going to say Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs too. I'm going to tell you why. I want a freaking rematch of 2019.
Oh,
I want that freaking Super Bowl rematch. I don't believe that we can do it this time. I feel like if we play our 8 game, we can get this thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to say. I wanted to, I really like Joe Burrow. I think the Bengals, they play really well this season. So if they win, I really am happy for them. But if they lose, then oh well. Sorry.
Yeah. Not too much love lost there, eh?
I mean, it sucks at this point when you're playing a conference championship. You have like best teams out there, like the teams that play the best at this stage in the season. So it's like, well, you only got one game. Like if you lose, doesn't mean you suck. It's just like, well, the other team just scored more.
Yeah, and I had last year I had like pretty clear choices of who I was rooting for.
Yeah,
but this year has been like super difficult to like root for one team, especially in the postseason. I didn't have any team in the postseason except for the Niners and the Rams. Which
like what is difficult about it is that this season at the beginning, it's like the stats at the beginning, the record and the standing, they were completely misleading because some of the teams, like the Ravens were playing so well, and then all of a sudden, once Lamar Jackson was hurt, they were tanking, and they weren't even in the playoffs. Like so, things like that happened, and so it was really like unpredictable.
I want to say this because I feel like as a football fan, like a lot of people think that why are you not talking about stats enough? And I'll tell you this: stats don't matter. Stats have never mattered. Yes, stats can show a picture of what's going on, of who is good and who isn't. But at the end of the day, they don't matter. The Bengals were not supposed to make it this far. And yet here they are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kansas City, if you asked me at the middle of the season if they were going to make the playoffs, I would have said no.
No.
Based on stats,
they were really
no.
bad.
They corrected, and they're back in the championship. So to me, no, stats do not matter. Anyone who is an analyst is just as qualified to talk about the NFL as me or you. Even you watching right now are probably as qualified as me or anybody else in the industry to talk about football. Because at the end of the day, they're just opinions. That's all it is. So, that's all I'll say. Yeah. Anywho, let's talk about the final game of the week, of Sunday. 49ers versus the Rams.
Right. I gotta say, I'm very nervous about this game. Well, I don't know. 2 weeks ago I said the same thing, but I'm gonna double nervous about this game. Just because we beat them 6 times.
Yeah, another clear example of why stats don't matter, because the 49ers were never supposed to be in the playoffs to begin with.
Yeah, that was the sad thing, because like they were 2-5 at one point. And I was really upset. I was just like, you know what? I think the season's over. I'm so sad. Like, just put Trey Lance in. Come on, do me a favor. Make me feel less painful that way. But I'm glad I didn't go with that route. If they go with that route, It's gonna have like that sour, like that very bitter aftertaste. Seeing other teams to make into it, even though we knew that we were better than the other team, that would suck. So they stuck with Jimmy, and now we're here. So we're gonna try to see if we could extend to that 7-0 record against the Rams this Sunday. I don't believe that 6-0 thing. I again, my whole thing is that it's 60-minute freaking game. You gotta bring your A game. Look, you're dealing with Cooper Cup. You're dealing with Matthew Stafford. You also have Odell. You have like Aaron Donald to worry about, Jeremy Ramsey. This is a team sport. It's not about Matthew Stafford. Like if it's Stafford playing by himself, then yeah, we probably will beat him. But like it's not the same playing. So I feel like the Niners need to bring their A game. Don't let their last win kind of like blind them from thinking that the Rams won't make any adjustment. I think Sean McVay is a very smart coach. So he's going to do something about it, right? Same thing for Kyle Shanahan. I think he's going to do something adjustment so that it make his runs more unpredictable for Sean McVay.
Yeah. And I would like to say, like, especially from the previous game, the Rams were actually leading on the 49ers, and the 49ers,
yeah, they were like up 17-0.
I don't know how they did it. I have no idea how they did it, but Kyle Shanahan went back, looked at whatever was going on in the first quarter, talked to the team, and they adjusted very quickly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, is he losing on purpose the first quarter to throw?
I hope not.
To throw McVay off and then come back? That was something I mentioned, however many weeks ago that was. And you were like, nah, you're crazy. I don't know what you're thinking, but if it happens again.
I noticed that, yeah.
If it happens again, just saying.
But I noticed that, yeah, but I think the Rams had this issue where they were scored very early and they surrendered more runs to other teams. And we witnessed that again with the Bucs, right?
Yes,
the Bucs were able to tie the game.
We definitely
So that was kind of scary, though. Like, I was like, well, Tom Brady didn't get anything going, but somehow they were able to tie the game. I was like, how?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. So they're going to play at the SoFi Stadium, and regardless of the outcome, the Super Bowl will be played at the SoFi Stadium again. So, hey, if the Niners win, then, they're going to go back to SoFi Stadium in a couple of weeks. If the Rams win, hey, they're at home. Even better, right?
Okay. Yeah, let's wrap it up. We got a couple of news things to go by really quick. Yeah, let me get your thoughts on this because you are the 49ers fans. The Rams blocked 49ers fans from purchasing tickets. You have to be an LA resident in order to buy a ticket to the championship game. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't think that they're gonna stop the Niners fans. Sorry, I think there are a lot of like people who live in the Bay Area actually have relatives in LA. They could just ask their relatives to purchase the ticket. Now the other thing is that the tickets are outrageously expensive, so most fans are not gonna spend that much money, especially the Rams fan. Not a lot of Rams fans who are willing to spend $900 on a ticket or $400. Are you kidding me? It's not even a Super Bowl. Come on. So so people actually say like, look, realistically, you're gonna restrict them, but then at the same time your price is really high. So how many tickets are
you actually gonna move? Yeah.
So like if you're gonna sell that expensive, then nobody's really gonna go, right?
So I believe that there was actually an issue between SoFi and the Rams management, and they actually removed the blockage of tickets. So
because they're not supposed to do that. Like, I mean, this is not fair. Like, what gives you the right to like block selling the ticket? Like, what if you sell it to somebody who's not a Niners fan? Like, what if it's the Rams fan trying to purchase the ticket in SF? Then you can buy it because I'm screwed because I'm not in LA.
Yeah, they go on your Facebook and they see that you're following the 49ers page. No, you can't.
Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna sell it to Lee. This guy is a Niners fan. He's gonna wear red
Yeah.
to the stadium. He's
I,
gonna
I honestly
continue.
expect a sea of red on Sunday.
No, I think that would be so funny because like it really like so honestly, I think the Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, they sounded like they were really affected by the number of Niners fans out there in week 18 because they were so red over there. They were like, whoa, we didn't quite expect this many of the Niners fans here. It was weird.
LA is faithful to no team. That's all I say. Except the Raiders for some reason.
Well, Raiders fans are everywhere, or Steelers fans are everywhere.
Yeah.
Why don't? Okay, so there's one thing. Maybe we'll talk about this next time or in another time. Chargers is the only team that is kind of like intriguing in my opinion because people say like there's no fan, like Chargers don't have fan base. I was like, really? How?
It's complicated. To keep it short, basically, a lot of Chargers fans exist online. You know, they don't exist in real life. Or I've never met another Chargers fan ever.
Yeah.
So I guess that shows how little Chargers fans. Actually, there's this one guy in high school. He was really cool. His name was Ryan. He was a Chargers fan. He wasn't as big of a Chargers fan as I am, but he always rooted for the Chargers. He always kept it low key because everyone else was a Niners and Raiders fan, and he was quite popular. So I don't think he wanted to be associated with a loser team like the Chargers.
No, I don't think Chargers were that bad. But then so, like I listen to sports radio a lot, and sometimes the host would be like, "Yeah, if you go to like in LA, like very close to SoFi Stadium, you will find Eagles bar, Niners bar, Rams bar, but there's no Chargers bar." It's like, how? Like Chargers play at SoFi, man. Come on.
The team's only been 2 years. Actually, it's probably more than that now. A couple of years in LA. The city has not responded well because the Rams is already technically LA's team. And the only fans that pretty much remain are the people who are really faithful to the Chargers when they were in San Diego. So if you go down to San Diego, you'll see there'll definitely be more Chargers fans there.
Oh yeah. I just thought it was kind of weird. That it's hard to retain to gain a fan base or any sort like that.
Yeah. Okay. Last bit of news is Sean Payton saying that he's not going to return next season. This does not mean he's retiring. He didn't say he was retiring outright. But I think he just wants, I guess, a mental break from the NFL football. And I don't know, man. It's kind of rough because the Saints have had a rough season. They lost 2 quarterbacks back to back. I mean, one retired and the other one got injured. And then when he did come back, he got injured again on like the first couple of plays. So just really tough year for the Saints. You know, I don't want to assign any blame. I'm not a Saints fan. I don't know too much about the organization as a whole. But, you know, it's just really rough. Do you have any thoughts on this?
I think it was really rough because I think he probably thought about the roster next season.
And the dead cap?
It's not looking pretty at all. Because there were negative. Somebody commented on Twitter that the Saints are negative 70 million in cap space. That's not good.
That's not good.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to manage next season. Probably just a bunch of rookies. I'm honestly thinking that, you know, during the NFL draft, there's going to be a couple of teams who draft quarterbacks. And the Saints are probably going to be one because I don't think they can afford to go and get any other quarterback. I mean, Jimmy G probably would fit that system, the Saints system, but you can't afford Jimmy G. The only team I can see...
I don't think Jimmy G is going to go there if Sean Payton is not there. I'm sorry, man. Like, I feel like Sean Payton is a really good coach. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is who's going to want to go? Like, even if they didn't draft a quarterback in the first round, who's going to go to the Saints without Sean Payton? No one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
just
yeah, and then there's no news about if they're gonna hire a new coach or anything like that. I mean, Sean Payton stepping aside, like what are they gonna do? Are they gonna have an intern coach? Maybe. Yeah, but then they
possibly.
still
I
have a
mean,
long time.
moving up to head coach is always someone will take it. Even though it may seem like an impossible task. I mean, we've seen people take jobs in Jacksonville, in New York, both New Yorks actually, and those are
Vegas too, yeah.
impossible to fix.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hoping Sean Payton has a good time, and I haven't seen the Netflix movie, so I can't clown on him too much. So
We'll see.
yeah. All right. On that note, that is the end of the podcast. Lee, you got anything else before we sign off?
No, we're pretty good. I'm very pumped up about this weekend, and maybe they will make my dreams come true. We'll have like 2019 rematch in
Yes.
Super Bowl. That would be really awesome. But if not, hey, like you got the best two teams to go into Super Bowl. Why not? Even if that means that your team loses, right? So it is what it is. Best team goes to the Super Bowl. Yeah.
That's the good part about this week is that no matter who makes it, it's gonna be good regardless. Yeah. So if you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure to follow us on other platforms. I am on Twitter at Zephyr the Scribe. Lee is also on Twitter, but he is a private account. It's still there if you want to attempt to follow him. And you can follow us both at Twitter at the Joe Lee Podcast. You know exactly how it's written out, the Joe Lee Podcast on Twitter. And we tweet stuff. Sometimes we retweet other people's stuff. And, hey, it's a good time out there. No live streams this weekend. There just hasn't been any. We just can't fit it in the schedule for us. The 49ers and the Rams game is something that my family's going to be watching. In other podcasts I've mentioned, my mom's a 49ers fan. My dad's a Rams fan, so not going to be able to stream that one.
He was joking because he knew that I was going to have a heart attack watching that game. So that's why we're not live streaming. Yeah.
Yes. Lee may have a heart attack as well. And then the first game we can't do because Lee has something to attend to beforehand, and he might not be able to watch the whole game. But I will be watching the game, and I will come back the following week with the full report on both those two games. And so that is the weekend. Oh, if you're also interested, there's also a wrestling review from last week, and there will be one wrestling review on Friday as well for this week's AEW Dynamite. It was a great show, by the way. Just a little sneak peek ahead. Great final match. And so I'll be reviewing that on Friday. So you will be getting that on Friday. If you're listening on Thursday, it'll be out tomorrow at the same time. All right. For Joseph Inez, This is my partner, Lee. We will see you next week.